Hello, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to the Guardian Hub podcast, where we talk Destiny and our love of the game. We tonight are down again for some reason. A Kingsley Mick Kingsley Macklemore, which he actually should be joining here about 20 to 30 minutes late, so we will have him by the end of the show. But tonight, your hosts, as always, are Cyn and DesRaven. Cyn, or you're not Cyn.
Let's hope not. There's some problems.
There's definitely some problems. This is what happens when Kingsley leaves us to our own devices. Oh man, Des, how are you doing?
Start falling apart. Things just fall apart.
I know.
I'm doing all right.
Magical.
That's still not, but you know.
Well, getting there. Hopefully. Any gaming at least to keep you preoccupied?
I've actually done a bit of gaming. Sadly, I haven't touched Destiny much. Which I definitely say sadly because I definitely still need to do some Festival of Law stuff. But I was talking to Kato about it. Monday, Saturday, someday. This season kind of has me like Season of Arrivals was. Since we know it's so long, like my interest in Destiny is just already kind of at a low. Because I don't want to burn out on it. So, like I said, I don't. So it's a weird sensation.
Yeah, for sure.
But
it is a long season.
It is. But if anyone remembers, when I was talking about One Finger Death Punch 2 and like it being a cool casual game, I just actually today platinumed that. It's not so casual in the end. It actually gets pretty freaking difficult. And I started Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nice. And how is that?
I spent like an hour playing it, right? And basically got through like this, huh?
That's it? Only an hour?
I have to pace myself with that game. I know that already because again, I played through an hour of that game and only got through like the first part. I basically, as I see it, stepped out of the tutorial. And it heavily reminds me of games like Assassin's Creed or like especially like later Assassin's Creed or kind of starting probably around, I say later, but yeah, Assassin's Creed 2, where things just they tell you a lot of what to do until a very specific point. That's still relatively early in the game, but still takes you for a freaking ever to get there. So I'm there. I have a feeling I'm going to like it. Because I mean, of course, I've heard a lot about it, and I've heard a lot of the details, like minor details of the plot. Nothing super spoilery, I don't think, but we'll see. But I can already say, like, I'm super appreciative of the game itself. Seems to be kind of transparent, basically. Like what I figured might have been a fairly late game spoiler actually happens in what I call the tutorial area. So, yeah.
Nice.
Kind of interested to see how it evolves from, like I said, what I thought might have been a pretty massive spoiler that again happens within the first hour of the game.
I guess to get it out of the way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for those familiar, it's literally like where you find out where Aloy was born. And again, I figured that was mid-game spoiler. No, first hour. First hour you find out. And it's like, so what's the story point? Like, where do you go from here, So I'm pretty stoked to to see how it turns out. It's an interesting game, like mechanic-wise, though. It's not quite like anything I've really played before. That's not entirely true, because it kind of reminds me of Shadow of Mordor, the Lord of the Rings game.
Ah, I never really got into that one.
Well, I mean, the reason why it reminds me of that is because very early game in Shadow of Mordor and kind of in Shadow of War, the sequel, you are freaking weak. Like, it's best to sneak, it's best to watch where you're going, because you don't know, like, when you're going to get messed up by getting blindsided by a set of orcs. And considering a lot of the machines in Horizon just kind of free roam everywhere, I feel the same way in the start. So I'm wondering if, kind of like in Shadow of War, later game, things get much easier and you don't really have to worry about stealth so much because you just gain enough skills and like options that stealth just isn't as important. So I'm pretty also excited to see how it evolves.
Nice.
Because that's exactly how Shadow of War goes. Because again, you kind of want to be stealthy, you want to get the jump on the groups, but by late game, you can just dive into a bunch of middle orcs and survive the encounter no problem because you just have so many options available.
Right.
So yeah.
Live update from Ninja Muffin. She says, "Quit talking shit on Horizon Zero Dawn."
I'm not talking crap on it. I'm literally just talking on like the perspective of the first hour of the game. I played through basically the tutorial. But no, so I'm actually like stoked to go through, but I just know it's going to take a while. It takes you an hour to get through the first part of the game. The rest of it's definitely going to take a while.
Yeah. One good thing about those games, they can definitely keep you engaged for quite some time.
Indeed.
So nothing other than that, no Destiny then.
Not a lot. I mean, I rated Tuesday with Ninja Muffin and a few others, and we did a vault. It went surprisingly smoothly. even considering the entire cluster that became the Atheon encounter.
I got to hear this. How so?
Oh my god. So I can't remember exactly how, but Kato got trapped on Venus, like during a damage phase. So he was just stuck in there. And that was after the first damage phase. So we're sitting there, we're getting back in position, cleaning up ads. So we keep hoping. It's like, okay, maybe maybe we'll get teleported to Venus. We can cleanse them. We can get them out. No problem. Or at the very least, like somebody can go in during the second damage phase, go and get them. We pull them out. No problem. Second damage phase happens. Atheon teleports us back to the Mars side. Well, crap. For some reason, we didn't go get him either. Because I don't think anyone actually opened the Venus portal at all. So, okay, third damage phase, no problem. He'll send us to Venus this time. Or again, make sure you hear Ninja telling people, it's like, make sure to open the Venus side too, so we can dip in and get him. No problem. Well, Atheon again teleports us to Mars. So we hear Kato talking about how he's taking damage for something because his controller's vibrating like crazy, but is not dying. We don't know why he wasn't dying. Because Marked by the Void should eventually kill you, but he was not dying. So yeah, Enrage was near. Atheon finally teleports us to Venus, where we pick Kato up, finally cleanse him, and actually have 3 people shooting oracles, and then finish the job. No problem. It was absolutely awful, because again, like, half of our damage phases, we were 1 person short. For like I said, I can't even remember exactly why. I'm not sure if he got pushed back in a portal by Atheon or what, but he just ended up on Venus and somehow survived the entire time.
Mm-mm-mm. That's some luck right there.
Right.
Usually you get blinded and then you end up, dying so you can see what's going on.
Exactly.
Hey, at least you made it through.
Yeah, because I mean that's also a nightmare. Also, like getting trapped in a place because again, if you die and you don't get teleported there, you're going to lose that encounter because the timer is gonna hit 0. I mean, it's just gonna. But yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of emotions. Mainly trying not to worry about it, but also kind of worrying about it. But yeah, it ended up being fine. It was definitely the most strange, probably Atheon clear I've ever had.
Hey, at least it makes for a good conversation when you go to talk about it later, right?
Right? I'm just glad I remembered it.
Dude, as you got to play a little bit of some other games, you said, yeah, we were talking as I'm starting up the podcast. I blame Ninja Muffin on this one since she's in chat, but the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate I ended up getting so I could play some Back for Blood. That way, Back for Blood's on there, and you don't have to pay the $60 to buy the game. You can just pay the $15 a month, get the game, and get access to all these other games, right? So, played a little Back for Blood earlier tonight with Nalsy. Played a little bit over the past week or so with Ninja Muffin, Edifier, and I think there was one other person. And also, Banjo Kazooie is part of the Xbox Game Pass, and this is like bringing back some, memories of, when I was like a kid. And the graphics are awful, but there's just something about this game, and got to play a little bit. I'm kind of playing now on and off, but I'm trying not to do it because I got to pay attention because I don't really know what's going on. Ukulele on Steam, I kind of played a little bit a while back as a recommendation because it's very much like Banjo Kazooie. So I've been playing a little bit of that, played a little bit of Fallout 4, 30 minutes, uninstalled it. I downloaded Fallout 76. Probably going to play about 30 minutes to an hour in it and probably uninstall that as well. Never really got into those games, but it'll at least be fun to try. And I did play quite a bit of Destiny over the past few nights, working on Gambit for my Gilded Dredgen title, and also for the ornament from the Drifter, because the ornament's been part of the seasonal quests or the seasonal challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've done that. Did a little bit of that. Got the Ascendancy ornament. Got my Gilded Dredgen. Now I need to work on Vanguard, because that's from what I understand. Spoiler alert! By the time this comes out, we're going to be on the cusp of the next reset. The Vanguard ornament is is a challenge for next week, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've seen. And there is it's unlocked in game already, but there's a ornament also available that goes along with that. So be interesting to see. But other than that,
Wait,
oh, yeah, not an ornament, emblem.
okay, there we
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's called the planar emblem.
Probably planar, yeah.
Planar, yeah.
Because if it's PLANAR, but then
Yep.
that's my old D&D kicking in, because we've always called that planar.
Yeah, it probably is.
But then again, I mean, that was an era of, I mean, back when I was playing, back in my day, internet wasn't as fleshed out, so audible pronunciations were not standardized, shall we say.
Yeah,
Like,
good
Lord, out of all the time I played Final Fantasy VI, one person I kept calling Seelies ended up being properly pronounced Celeste. Fun times. Anyway.
Oh shoot, but that's about it. I'm sure I've done some other stuff because I've been on almost every single night. It's worked out that I've been able to spend a few hours every night and still manage to get up early in the morning to handle work. So
Congrats.
yeah, one of the benefits from working from home, right?
Right. I thought I
Hmm.
was going to be screwed today for some reason. I almost slept past all my alarms.
I set about 4 or 5 of them
Same.
just so I can make sure that if I miss one, the other ones are there. And it usually works. I usually
Okay.
am up relatively close to on time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have the way I do it because A, it's a miracle that alarms even work on me now because I used to learn to like cut them off in my sleep. So why they actually help wake me up now, I have no idea. Um, but yeah, the way I have to set my alarms is I have to be up around 7 because I work at 8, and I live like 15-ish minutes away from work. So, um, but anyway, so yeah, my first alarm goes off at 6. I think I have a 6:15, a 6:30, but then it's like 10-minute increments up until 7 o'clock, which is my loudest, most annoying alarm. So yeah, that's how I have to do it.
Hey, whatever works and gets the job done.
Yeah, I'm usually up by like 6:30
The
usually.
wife absolutely hates it because it ends up waking her up if, like, on the weekends or something. If I set an alarm
Oh
and she
God,
doesn't set one,
yes.
she's like, "Why? Why are you setting this?"
I know that's the worst feeling ever when I actually do get a Saturday off and I forget to cut my alarms off because I usually end up working so many Saturdays. I just have a Monday through Saturday set.
It's habit.
Yeah, so it's awful. Like because they're at like I'll probably play Destiny till like 1, anywhere between like 1 and 4 in the morning on Friday if I'm off. Then I go to sleep, wake up 2 hours later because I forgot to cut my alarm off, or waking up the wife because I forgot to cut the alarm off.
Hey, it happens. Oh man, so that's about it as far as gaming. I think on our or my end at least, we got we recorded it last week. We talked a little bit about this D1 raid. Um, I don't know the as far as the teams or who's in, if we have any
Or
more
Raid Race,
teams
yeah,
yet.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, but we recorded last week. I had to enter put in a little blurb at the beginning of the podcast because right after recording, found out that they actually changed the scheduling to this coming Saturday, which is a few days after we're recording this episode. So by this time next week, when we record, should hopefully you'll hear the results then at that point, as far as
Yes,
where we did, if we faced any teams, and all that good
indeed.
stuff.
But yeah, that
So
yeah, it had to be rescheduled because apparently we were the only team at first. Um, so yeah, they decided to give it another week. So you all will find out this Saturday if we actually had a race, or I think our team has utterly decided. Actually, I think it's been passed on to FUT too, right? So I think that's what was said in chat, that if there are no other teams, we had decided that we would just run them and like stream D1 raids and like this marathon run. Um, and I think Bud mentioned something about making a watch party. So I
that
think
would be
he'll be
fun.
commenting over us going through the D1 marathons. I think. Don't quote me, but you'll find out Saturday what happens. Like one way or the other. Saturday will tell us,
The world may never know.
right?
And other than, I think that's it as far as news. Other than the TWAB. Um,
Right.
I was hoping Kingsley would be here at some point because we had a debate in chat about this whole Xbox Game Pass shenanigans, what's included, what's not included. Yeah. So if he joins in, we could talk about that there.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned you did read the 12 ahead of time, so we're well prepared this week. Do you want to kick it off, and then if he joins, we can add that part, the Xbox part, in later, because that is towards the end of the 12 where that is mentioned on that. So
We can go through this twab, which is so big. Oh god, there's so much. But yeah, they start off, of course, by letting us know, just in case you live under a rock, Festival of Lost is still happening. Much to the chagrin of many a person. I've not seen a resounding, like, it's so weird because for so long you've had like so many vocal parts of the community saying how they just want anything different than Haunted Forest, right? It's like, oh my god, why the same thing again? We
You want
finally get
something
something different. Yeah, we get something different. And again, this is a small sample size, but I saw it once and it blew my mind. And they're like, oh my god, Haunted Sectors, it's even worse. I want Haunted Forest back. And I'm like, you're kidding me. You are absolutely kidding me right now. Oh my god. Yeah, but it's whatever. Uh, I haven't played enough to burn out on Haunted Sectors, so my opinion is still a little skewed on them. I like them. Of
Yeah,
course,
I
I
think
still tolerated Forest, so I'm weird.
I actually prefer the Lost Sectors personally. More so than the Forest. The Forest just seemed a little too much. You just kept going, starting back over, running through, starting back over, running
All right.
through. The Lost Sector, at least it's confined area. It seems a little more focused, which I like.
Yeah.
I like that it's focused, and it reuses stuff that's already in the game.
I mean,
I kind
yeah.
of get why they don't use the forest, because what that planet's in the vault right now.
Well, I mean, then Haunted Forest always launched from the tower anyway. I
Right.
mean, just like the sectors. But I mean, like you said, like no matter if you liked Forest or not, by the end of it, yeah, it just seemed like a massive chore. Because I mean, sure, like these semi-procedurally generated like areas were just they're cool at first, but yeah, you're just going for so long. Like,
But
oh
enough's enough.
yeah. So I definitely agree. Like I said, sectors feel focused, and yeah, they were using content. Big whoop. Like to be honest, lost sectors are like an underutilized resource that they have right now. Like the more power to them for really turning those assets into something. And again, it's a seasonal thing. This is the content they don't charge for. So I'm
Yep.
perfectly okay with them like cutting corners to create something. But yeah, so anyhow,
Yeah, and like you said, you're probably not burned out on them yet. Um,
yeah,
I've run a few of those. There's triumphs involved with all that stuff, right? So you had to
yeah.
clear so many. You got to use them for your pages for the lore books, those books
Oh
that you can
crap.
buy at the kiosk. Um,
Yeah, there's a set number you have to clear. Dang it. I'm probably gonna get burnt out on it because I'm gonna like procrastinate and then I'm gonna have to like rush like probably like at least half of that triumph. Oh,
well, you have to run them anyway to convert the pages to be able to turn into that lore kiosk.
that's true. That is highly true. Which I don't know. I do kind of like that part of it. That I mean, there's a finite amount you can
Yeah,
you can do in the sectors, like because I mean you can only hold 75 pages to be like just in general. Um, so what? And I think the most I've converted like with blueberries is 11, 12 pages maybe. I think. So
yeah. I
yeah, so I
think that's
mean,
about the max is 11 to 12 because you can get
yeah,
10. You can get what 10 headless ones done, which I think converts to like 9 or 10 directly.
Yeah,
Pages convert it, and then
and
you
then
can
more hits.
do you can do like a couple more
One
during
more.
boss damage.
Yeah, which I mean, especially if because a lot of people are running particle deconstruction, and yeah, that I do feel like particle deconstruction does make this entire thing feel like less of a chore. Considering you are able to get around 10 converted, I can only imagine without quick and easy accessible damage how many we could be. I mean, it might be more like 7 or 6 a run, like effectively cutting it in half. Um, but yeah, but I do like the fact that you only have so many you can do, but then you have to branch out, play other pieces of the game, to branch out for a while, hoard up a bunch of pages, then run, go back in, run them out, and convert them. I don't know, I kind of like that aspect to it.
Yeah, and the max is 75 that you can hold at any given time.
Yep.
So just kind of food for thought there. For me, I kind of multitasked it like I do most of the stuff in the game. I did my gambit. Like I said, I with finishing all those gambit things that I needed to like complete and wrap up for the season. You get 3 pages per gambit run, so it kind of did double duty for me by doing it that way.
Yeah. So yeah, they also talk about the new Grandmaster, which is Exodus Crash this week.
Oof. Oh yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, because I don't like the I like this little tidbit that who wrote this one? Yeah, DMG. I like this little tidbit that he put in. Yes, by sending shivers down the spines of many Guardians who've been with us since Destiny 2 launched all those years ago. Yeah. Yeah, that strike has been rough for a very long time.
Oh yes.
I remember the dread when that strike would pop up with Blackout. It was awful. It was absolutely awful. But yeah, the weapons they do mention are the Comedian and the Shadow Price. And I believe I heard somewhere that this is the first run of the Comedian. That may or may
That
not be
definitely may
accurate.
be. I don't remember getting the weapon in general, so
Yeah. Which I believe. Give me like 2 seconds to pull this up, and I can pull this up. But of
very
course, we
well.
all know the Shadow Price is a nice precision frame, I believe. So it's a 450 RPM, decent in both PvE and PvP. Not ideal in either situation, uh, because that's where the rapid fires and the 600 RPM, the adaptive frames, are still reigning supreme. Let's see. So I have to click on that one, and then I go to that one. All right. So let's see the Comedian real fast, and I can give some numerage on it. It is an aggressive frame, so Comedian will be nice in PvP. I say nice, but as nice as an aggressive frame can be right now. But yeah, so there's that. It's not bad. It's not bad. So yeah.
Awesome. Now the Nightfall portion, I was able to run it this week. Ran it with Zebrek and Lucifer. It was just last night actually. We ran it once. The honestly, the majority of the Grandmaster wasn't awful until you got to the boss room.
I can see that. Yeah. That's usually historically that's where that strike goes downhill very quickly.
Yeah. And needless to say, we didn't last long and wiped. We're like,
Yeah.
let's go back and do Gambit. We're on it. But yeah, that's it's not bad overall. I think a little more tweaking, it can be a doable Grandmaster, but it's going to take just kind of figuring out how to do that boss room.
Well, there's at least 2 cheese spots that I know of, so
I know
fun
there was
times.
one on top of the entrance before you drop down.
Yeah,
Zebrak
potentially that.
mentioned, yeah, Zebrak mentioned that you could, potentially go that way. And but when we tried it in the regular Nightfall, it pulled him down.
That could be because I think that was the D1. I mean, not D1, but D2 vanilla like G spot that I'm wanting to say got fixed. I think, like specifically, potentially. But no, I think on the left side of the platforms there is like a box that you can crouch behind. It has there's another like small elevated piece in front of said box. So it apparently offers quite a bit of protection because I guess not many enemies go behind the box, and because you're not directly touching the floor, you're not taking the full brunt of the electrified shanks in the area. So you can kind of fight against them as well. And yeah, so there's that. Which I did see thanks to a video that Lucifer posted up somewhere.
Yeah, you said posted. Where was it?
That's a good question. Was it Destiny Talk? Was it before all that happened? Nope, not there. Was it even our Discord? That's a whole nother question.
That is a good question.
Because now I'm not entirely certain. No, it had to have been ours, but yeah, I cannot remember where I saw this now. Holy crap. There it is. In crossplay group pups, actually. It's up there. It was posted yesterday, afternoonish. Is that even the one, though? It's potential. I'm not, Yep, that's the one.
You found it.
Yep, I found it, and I will, uh, repost this currently in the live chat.
Ah,
But that, and it goes through a couple like different spots. Like I said, it does tell you about the one easy to hit spot and one spot. I'm trying to figure out how it's going to be useful anyway. But yeah, so there's that. So yeah,
yeah, I need to check it out. I was meaning to. And I do remember seeing that now that you mention it, and I saw that picture post up on there. Um, I should have go and watch it. Could probably help a little bit there.
it's definitely an interesting spot. That I'm just curious if it's kind of like that one Empire hunt. I think it's the Technocrat. There's just like this stuff that you can hide behind. That enemies just don't really look at you while you're there, and they don't path that way, so it just keeps you very safe. I guess in other news, we do have legendary astral alignments now. Yay!
Have you tried one yet? Now you
Nope,
mentioned you're only in there a little bit, so we'll assume that you haven't. But yeah,
nope,
gotcha.
nope, nope,
Rough.
nope.
They are rough.
Nope. I'm probably going to start tackling those potentially sometime after festival. I'm not worried about astral alignment right now. But as I do believe, as Bungie says, now is basically the time, potentially, if this wording can be interpreted in such a way that we can now start earning the Realm Walker title, which is the seasonal title. I believe we have all tools available now to gain that, because they do mention to round out a few triumphs for that. So I'm hoping they're mentioning that because again, it's pretty much available now. You just gotta do it.
2 mystery triumphs still, I'm being told.
Oh God, that's true, and I have not looked up those mystery triumphs. Well, they said it, so that's what I'm hoping. I don't know for certain. Good Lord, one of them is probably the last mission.
Yeah, they usually do wait for
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, it's probably that last mission, which isn't going to be a surprise for anyone. But I'm still not gonna say what potentially the title of this last mission is. So yeah, that's probably gonna be one of those secret triumphs for sure. Um,
And the legendary Shattered Realm, I think we've only been able to do 2 of the 3 because they came out in the second week rotation. We're now in the third week rotation, and you can get the third and final legendary Shattered Realm starting at reset this coming week.
well, we're getting closer.
Closer.
Fine. I took Bungie's words a little too literally there, which is just fair. It's whatever.
You can thank Laz for that one. He mentioned it in chat. We
God,
still need
thanks,
to get
Laz.
together. Why he's there, we still need to get together. We need to have a meeting about this lore episode we want to put together. So I have not forgotten. We just need to, get
I
that
mean,
topic
good Lord.
and put it together.
Yeah, good Lord. Laz is the only person that even posted anything. Guys, where's the rest of you people? God. Um, and
Talk
yes,
lore, and
as
everybody pipes up.
I know, right? But as Truth asks, ooh, lore? Question mark? Yes, we are uh going to be doing lore topics, as suggested by the community, you guys. I will take a lore topic or put a few lore topics up to vote. I will study that topic as in depth as I can, and I will report back the lore as it can be either known or interpreted.
Maybe we can. Maybe here at the end of this TWAB, we'll put you on the spot.
Potentially. Let's see. I gotta. Oh yeah. So this weekend, Trials is coming back. Great. Um, it is going to be another labs. Um, they are essentially going to be testing freelance. And yes, as Bungie explains it in the TWAB. And yes, if you don't know what freelance is, it just means that you cannot go into the freelance playlist with any kind of a pre-made fire team. This is solo players only. Unless something bugs out and someone can break something and bring a fire team in, or they live very close together and could potentially match with or against one another, that's a whole different story. But you cannot natively go into freelance with any kind of fire team. And it is going to be double trials rep during labs. And as Bungie mentions, starting this week, there is a trials seasonal challenge to win 20 rounds. And that weapon that it awards you is a Reed's Regret. Yay. It's probably going to be
I've
another
already got me a
friggin'
few of those.
got like 26. Anyway, it's probably going to be another alpha roll for me.
Well, you can still pull them from. You can still pull them with the engrams from Saint 14, so you can still farm them.
That's what most of my engrams are. But as Bungie does note, getting the weapon through the challenge will unlock the capability of focusing engrams into Reed's Regret through Saint 14, even if he has not given you a Reed's Regret yet. So you can finish the challenge. So if you don't have a Reed's Regret, or if you don't have that capability, you can just finish out that challenge potentially, claim that challenge, unlock the weapon, and then use potential trials engrams that you've built up while trying to unlock that challenge to focus more reads regrets. So yeah.
Exactly.
And DMG does tell us that there are not going to be any spiders clouding our view during trials. But the location is going to be spooky.
Huh.
I'm guessing Cauldron.
That would be fitting, especially
Well, I mean,
with that verbiage.
you know what? Come to think of it, Spooky Trials in D1, I forget what it was called in D1, but it was Cauldron when they had the spiders jumping out in front of you. It was that map. Good grief. Anyway.
I didn't play it in D1, so I wouldn't even remember.
Oh god, D1. It was okay. I had to explain this to Kato as well because he has no recollection of anything D1 because he never played it. But yeah, Spooky Trials was a point in time where I'm not sure if Bungie got fed up with the community or we're just trying something different. You could take a pick because I have no idea. But they decided to do something different, and they cut off radar in Trials while having, like I said, what is now known as Cauldron as the map. You had no radar. But somehow they programmed away. If you stayed ADSing for so long, you got jump scared by the silhouette of a spider on your screen.
I don't think that was just in Trials. That was, I think they did it in other modes as well, the other Crucible modes.
No.
Because I thought I remember it, but I never really played Trials. And if I did, it may have only been 1 or 2 matches at the end. But I do remember the spider on the screen thing. And are you sure they didn't bring it to other modes?
Pretty sure, because the only other place they could have brought it would have been Inferno, because they wouldn't have cut off radar in all game modes, because, well, that was Inferno.
Could be. Man, it seems so long ago now with Destiny 1.
Oh, yeah. And I say Bungie was probably screwing with the community because after some negative feedback on Spooky Trials, people were saying that they wanted different maps, or, that part of the community was complaining and saying they wanted different maps for Trials. So the very next weekend, Bungie had the map be First Flight, which was the extra giant map on the moon that you were allowed to summon a sparrow because that's how big the map was. So yeah. It was a hilarious 2 weeks to be a podcaster at that point in time for Destiny. Just saying. So yes, trial stuff is happening, more labs. Let's see. There's going to be a costume contest going on. So that's going to happen. They have an emblem. It's a pretty cool emblem. They're releasing more pumpkin stencils. So anybody getting in the mood can print out these stencils and have some Destiny-themed pumpkins on your doorstep. Now, the ones they show are the Witch Queen emblem and Bungie's logo, which I'm surprised they haven't released sooner. It's been like 7 years in this game, and they're just now releasing the Bungie logo.
The shield?
Yeah. The shield with the hand and the 7. So yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, I like that. They did a good job of putting those stencils up. Cut.
Oh yeah.
Scrape. Cut. Scrape.
I know, right? I mean, yeah, the stencils, as far as I know, are really, it's really good quality because, again, it's very explanatory of what you need to do, which is always quite nice.
Oh yeah.
For scrubs like me that have never really cut out pumpkin. I mean, I have a few times, but it was the classic, It's mainly when I was a kid. Because as an adult, why? I'm probably just gonna cut myself, and it's gonna be an awful time.
Yeah, we definitely did we've done the pumpkin thing, and I just had to scoop up a rotting pumpkin off my front porch because it didn't last very long. So that's been my life. Oh man, I think that pretty much rounds it up. Other than like some other notes and known issues, right?
um, of course, today did launch a new hotfix. Apparently, I actually didn't. It's so funny because I read that in the TWAB, then I looked up and had not had noticed the very recent installed on Destiny 2. So yep, it definitely we had a hotfix. So yeah, the Prophecy Ghost Shell will now take shaders as intended. In the Corrupted Strike, Sadia's shield no longer regenerates at an unusually high speed. And those are the notes.
The one of the other things they mentioned here in this the hotfix area, the Xbox versus Microsoft, the silver clarification. I mean, we don't have to get too much into that. I was kind of waiting for Kingsley, but he did ping us and say that he was going to be longer than expected, so he will not be on for tonight during recording. But him and I had a long debate about what was going to be included. Like, if you bought Xbox, would it also go into PC? It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, my time last night, and just kind of to elaborate on the debate for those who might not have been following it in Discord. My thought was if you bought it on Xbox or Microsoft in general, that you might get it on both platforms. With it, Microsoft now allowing a PC download through Game Pass. I logged into crossplay on the Bungie site recently, and they very clearly show Xbox and a PC symbol side by side on the Xbox crossplay section. So my thought when I saw that, it was like, man, if you buy it there, you can download it on PC. It's the same account. Would you get it on both? Because to me, that would make perfect sense because it's one account. Even though you're playing at two different places, it's still one account. Kingsley was fighting me tooth and nail, and I say that generally speaking, I wouldn't say he was fighting me. I think he was just trying to get me to understand his side of it or the point he was trying to make, and I just wasn't seeing it. But today he said some folks over at Two Titans and a Hunter did try it out with like the current setup, like expansions that were already bought on Xbox. They downloaded on PC, and apparently they do not cross over. That even though it's one cross-play account, you would still need to buy it for both physical places. It's kind of a bummer. I was looking for like a cheat way of having it on console and PC. That would kind of two birds with one stone. Then at that point,
Yeah.
So at least we know now. I gotcha. That was Truth, I think, pinged in chat, said, that's a loss of money on both sides. With that, because there is a percentage that they take on each platform store. I do get that point. However, it's Microsoft on both sides.
Exactly.
So,
they actually don't really take a loss.
Right. You're buying
even if they
from one platform.
Split it. Yeah, even if they split it, all those profits still go to Microsoft. So
now I do get the difference, between Steam, between Xbox, PlayStation, Stadia. I do get that because they're separate,
100%.
Console or platform makers, right? But we're talking about Xbox, logically speaking, it's one login, one store, played two different places. Maybe they might make that change in the future. Who knows? But it was at least fun to explore that, even though we had a nice little debate at 2 a.m. So, Kingsley, I wish you were here to debate it. Shame on you for not. Your wish has come true, part 3.
Yeah, you lush.
I do want to bring up, since we do have Truth Lives in the chat, they recently released Guardian Ghostcast. Truth did it solo. He mentions during the cast, doing some, unforeseen things. It's basically him, maybe some scheduling
Yeah.
things with the other guys, Kai and Sweaty Spooks. So
Yeah,
they, go ahead. Go, Des.
I was about to say I actually had a chat with Truth also, but it's no. I won't spill any direct details just in case people don't want things directly spilled. But there's no ill will between anyone. But it's definitely like some scheduling issues and such. Life
Yeah,
happens.
yeah. And he does mention it on the podcast briefly at the beginning there. But what I really want to bring up is during the podcast, Truth put in some, I would say some legwork, some creative, aspects, and some research on,
And some
the gun
photoshopping.
system with Destiny. Yes, did an excellent job with it. And if you watch it, obviously, if you listen to the podcast, you can't see that creative aspect. You would have to actually see the video, which is on his YouTube. And I believe he does share the link inside the podcast notes as well. But it basically combines, I think you mentioned Call of Duty and the Destiny system, and combining a way to have more flexibility and customization on the weapon. Thank you for actually posting that in our live chat. He used the Tiger Spite for this, which I thought was a neat idea because it's been a while since I've seen that weapon in general.
Sucks.
Well, I think that's why we're using full customization, because you can make it not suck, right? I mean, he did a good job with the layouts. I'm not going to lie. That
No, he did.
Probably far surpasses anything that I can do creative wise. I can talk a good game. That's what being in sales does for you. But the creativity aspect, 100 there. Excellent job. So check it out. I think it's interesting. Him and I did speak about it, and he did post on Twitter and tagged Bungie in it, which I think is a great idea. Whether they see it or not is a different story, but at least you get that out there. If they do happen to see it, maybe it might trigger their creative sparks and implement it in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, because he also contacted me about it, which sadly I still haven't seen the entire mock-up, but I do know, or I haven't seen the entire pitch, I guess you could say. But it is hilarious because a lot of the ideas that I see are kind of similar ideas that I've had before. And I only say kind of. But it would allow like some flexibility with these weapons and like some slightly more drastic customization possibilities, because he's doing things like separating the magazine perks and using them alongside stock perks, which for some of you guys blinking going, the what perks? No, there are stock perks in Destiny 2. I think it's predominantly or only, pretty sure it's only exotics that use stocks. But introducing them like into common weapon, they don't like do a lot to stats, but again, introducing them to common or legendary all weapons would be like really cool. But he's combining also barrels with sights. So it's really cool ideas. Again, two like main perks. And yeah, just a lot of like customization across all the resources that are basically currently in the game that could, because combining barrels with sights and stocks with magazine perks, where you're running the whole gamut of the possibilities of change. And I think this idea could work because I know Bungie not long ago mentioned there are a few snipers that use stocks. Okay. I think Bungie mentioned not, I can't even remember exactly where I saw it. But I think they're moving to the point of not using sights for weapons right now, or at least they're potentially going to be changing them in a way that they basically don't have to work so hard to do sights. Because if you change a sight now, it changes like the entire site. Like it, I don't even know the names of sites right now.
Like
But
the red
like,
dot micro stuff like that.
yeah. Like red dot micro and let's say hollow sight or whatever. Those are two different like assets that gets put on the gun. So whenever Bungie makes a gun that can roll different sights, they have to make sure all those assets line up on the gun itself, which is just a lot of work. So I do think one of the thoughts that they've had is changing sights to optics, so that way you still get like the zoom differences in the guns, but they don't actually have to work to change assets. So it'll basically kind of be how it is now, except, your sight just won't change. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of potential there, for sure. I mean, with things that you could
Yeah.
do for it, if something similar, came to fruition, right?
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, good job on that.
Because there are
100.
because there are also benefits like to each, barrels versus sights. There's a benefit to each, because all barrels pretty much have more drastic changes to like gun stats. And barrels are like the only way other than a counterbalance mod to change the recoil direction stat. I think there's 4 barrels that do it. But then sights, even though they don't change many stats and it's mainly handling and range, they do change optics, which have, your zoom value, which can have a good effect on like accuracy cones and crap like that, and like damage fall off. So yeah, being able to, like I said, mix between these two would actually be like, it would be very different. You would actually have some like very different feeling weapons, I feel, using a system like this. So yeah, I mean, it's like a splendid idea, and again, the mock-up is very good. The only thing I don't understand is the 10 energy at the top. I don't get it. But I do also own that up to not, again, stop watching the entire pitch. I'm sorry, I'm going to watch it soon, I swear. But yeah.
Awesome. Now, I did have a question since we're talking about trials earlier, right? We're talking about lore. Can you explain Shaoras? Yeah, explain it. And then while you're doing that, check out my note in chat. I will give you a couple minutes to explain it. So.
Oh yeah, no problem. Shiera. Kinda simple. Shiera. It's weird because she's one of those. She almost feels like at least I assume she. Because I think someone mentioned her as a she. But anyhow, super strange. Like because she almost seems like a throwaway. In the lore. Someone that they just mention randomly. Much like a lot of the people, a lot of the Sparrow guys, basically, and the SRL stars, that they just kind of like felt like they tossed characters into lore for Sparrows, is kind of what it felt like, because you don't really see them anywhere else. But yeah, Shiera is actually a very interesting individual because she has went entirely psycho, like just entirely, completely insane. Um, if anyone remembers the lore of Sabbath, potentially, I know Savathun, uh, witnessed Savathun as Osiris, witnessed a match where she basically went nuts. Um, and it was also its own standalone lore, which might have been the SMG itself. Um, as I go about 15 blue million times, but so yeah, she like snaps and just in the middle of a trials match, pretty much dissects a guardian. Um, which is kind of weird considering nothing really happened. But anyway, the most curious part about her is the fact that after she snapped in trials, Osiris Savathun, quote unquote, handled her. So we don't know exactly what happened in that point in time. Uh, but we do know a bit on like what she's done before. Apparently, she was on a mission to Old Chicago, according to a piece of lore, where they were gather myself for a second, but they were pursued by an unknown entity in Old Chicago, and nothing that they've really read about before. So, no standardized enemy of the light. Which is probably the most curious part of one of the more curious parts of the lore about her is, again, she actually went to, like, her and her fire team, which was Aisha and Reed 7, which Reed 7 is Reed's Red. They went to a place which was a D1 concept that never ended up getting used, was Old Chicago. So yeah. But apparently,
nice.
again, yeah, she was apparently she has an issue with stasis. And she has an issue with people using stasis. She's basically a psycho Shin Malphur at this point in time. Because that's pretty much, as far as I know, that's the reason she dissected the Guardian in trials, because that Guardian was using stasis, which I know of many people that could mirror that kind of response. But again, she was dealt with. She was locked up after her trials match. But apparently, sometime during the Endless Night, she escaped. And seeing the Vanguard like make friends out of enemies like the Cabal, she's not happy right now. And yeah.
But times are changing. She'll get over it,
Yeah.
right?
This line, yeah, on Venus in one of her attacks, she killed a hunter, his ghost, and an Elixni non-combatant of the House of Light. She's nuts. She is absolutely nuts. So yeah, she's an interesting figure in the lore because, again, she kind of started as a throwaway under Shira's wrath. And then Reed's Regret even goes on to mention, I mean, that's how we know Osiris Savathun like took her away after the trials match. Because that's pretty much the lore of Reed's Regret. And it kind of seems like Reed knew something was up. So yeah, it's all very interesting reads, and like I said, the chunk of it is most certainly is within like the trials weapon. So she is a trials figure. I can't wait for. I really can't wait for the next step of Shira and how that's going to like evolve, because we have an anti-hero essentially like loose in the Destiny universe that is just straight out murdering other Guardians.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. See if they do anything, with her outside of the actual weapons, right?
For
Maybe
sure.
actually bring her in as a character.
I know, right? Like, I mean, or at least something kind of like how they did with Shin Malphur. Um, like when they brought Thorn, Last Word, into Destiny 2, they really did a whole lot with Shin Malphur on it, and even, of course, Lumina. Um, yeah, it's. Oof. Yeah.
Nice.
She has potential. She has potential. And
Well,
apparently she's an Awoken.
a what? Awoken?
Yeah, apparently she's Awoken. Which again, this is kind of on the spot, and so this is a quick look. So can't confirm all sources or where the information is kept, and I'll only know half of it because I actually looked her up not that long ago. So
Hey, well, it's much better than I would have done because I don't know any of that. So excellent job. Now, I did have I made our research assistants in chat post a couple links. Truth did bring up a couple ones that we can discuss, and the lore tabs are now pinned. I believe he linked the Ishtar Collective. So they're pinned in the podcast live chat. So instead of tackling it maybe tonight, because we're about an hour and a half in, it'll be a reading. I would say we'll make Kingsley also read it. I'll read it, and then we'll have a discussion on it next week.
And also, yeah, she's been essentially introduced. I say she's a Trials figure, but hilariously, she was actually introduced during Season of the Hunt. For the Wild Hunt vestments, which is the Hunter armor, and the flavor text. I've studied the enemies of the light, and I don't know what lured us to that ruin in Old Chicago and killed all those guardians, but I know it was hunting us, and it's quoted Shayura, Woken Warlock. So yeah, she was a Woken and a Warlock.
Nice.
Oh,
Confirmed.
so it's probably not the Hunter armor. It's probably the Warlock armor. I don't know why I said Hunter. But anyway, yes.
Confirmed,
and then she became
Awoken
a Trials
Warlock. So another Awoken for people to thirst over.
figure. Right? Throw her name in the hat, apparently.
Especially with all that psycho dissecting going on.
I know, right? Like that seems like right up the alley for these Savathun thirsters. But also, like considering Awoken gets so much, where's like the Petra thirst? You like never see it.
I think
Either
it's
like
the eye.
Mara or
I think it's the eye thing. And that might throw me
I
a little
don't
bit
know.
off. We'll go with that. It's the eye thing. So you're definitely going to have to tune in for next week for the, and I'll pull it up here really quick to tell you what it is. We are going to discuss Fellwinter's and the Winter's Guile. Fellwinter's Helm and Winter's Guile.
Yeah, that entire like cluster of a story that is Fellwinter.
Perfect.
The only exo. The fun fact. The only exo that never went by a number designation. Fellwinter.
You know what's sad? I would have probably don't even remember that Fellwinter was an exo.
Yeah, he was an exo. And we'll get into it because I'll definitely like bring up a large portion of like Fellwinter's history because a large portion of it we found out was it Season of Worthy where we did the Seraph Towers and went into the Seraph Bunkers, which of course was when Fellwinter's Lie was reintroduced into D2. Yeah, we got the huge chunk of lore for Fellwinter in there, so I'll definitely be going back over that as at least a refresher, because again, it explains so much. about Fellwinter, and again, him being an EXO, but never being known with a number designation. Because, I mean, people like Reed, like through the lore, like it's not Reed 7's regret, it's Reed's regret. And so,
Right.
but he was Reed 7, 6, 6, 7, one of those. But Fellwinter never had a number designation.
Yeah, anything that you want us to read and catch up on, maybe I'll have you also go ahead and post the links for Ishtar in there, and I'll pin them. That way we'll have a reference to go back and actually read them. It'll be our homework assignment before next show.
Oh, get ready for this, because it's definitely going to be a homework assignment.
Hey, it keeps things fresh. It's one thing we haven't really went down that rabbit hole of like large lore topics or lore readings, anything of that nature. There's a lot of other great podcasts that do it and have YouTube videos, podcasts on it. But for the sake of you being into lore, I think it would be doing a disservice if we didn't at least touch on something lore related every now and again. So be ready.
Oh, here's this link, which is the entire search result for Fellwinter and Ishtar Collective. So everything that mentions
posterity,
everything that mentions Fellwinter is going to pop up.
Sounds like I got a lot to tackle. Probably not going to be able to tackle all of it, but I'll probably try to tackle most of it.
No link for Zelda.
No link for
Drafty.
Zelda?
Drafty. But anyway, the challenge there is actually going to be taking so much of this lore and placing it properly, essentially.
Right.
Because a lot of it is of course. I mean, it's Destiny lore. It's a little. What's that word? Dang it.
Magical?
It starts with like a C. It's kind of obtuse. It's not the word I've been trying to think of, but it's basically obtuse. It's blank. Difficult to understand? Not really complex, but they're...
Yeah, I don't know what word you're going for. And
I know, right? It's not complicated.
So not Avril Lavigne, got it. Hard, erect, stiff. Could be any one of those.
Convoluted, that's it.
That too.
It's a little convoluted. It's which, if I understand, that's a word I never looked up the meaning for. But as I understand it,
as muddy waters.
Yeah, because it's basically difficult without the need of having difficulty. Potentially, is how I've understood the word.
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely, because again, you have to kind of like stitch it in place, because certain things happen before certain things, and Also, fun fact, Fellwinter knew Shax is a warlord. That's how old Shax is. He was a warlord.
He's been around.
For sure. I mean, he had a castle.
Interesting. A castle.
Yeah. Like Shax had like a castle. He like protected people. He was a warlord. Which is actually hilariously why even though he sort of teamed up with the Iron Lords, he's still known as Lord Shax because he's Warlord Shax. So yeah, fun fact there too.
Interesting. I probably learn more doing this than I do actually watching it in game, because I think I'm so interested on doing the activities because I feel like I'm so far behind every single time I go in to log in. So I get to learn more listening to everybody talk about it. So Nice.
Oh, it's going to be fun because this actually, hilariously, also Fellwinter shines a whole different light on the Siva crisis that was Rise of Iron. So yeah, this is going to be a
I
fun
forgot
trip.
about that. Rise of Iron. We'll save all that goodie, all those goodies for next week.
Oh, I am. I
We are
definitely
going to
am.
be going down a long rabbit hole. It sounds like.
Oh yeah, like Fellwinter's a deep one, and I believe his ghost was called Fell Spring. Or was it Fell Autumn? Fell
Yes.
Summer?
I'm just going to answer yes because I don't know.
I don't know, but his ghost had a complemented name to his. So yeah.
Not pulled pork.
No, definitely not pulled pork. Which, if I'm not mistaken, pulled pork might be Glint.
It is. I think they called his ghost pulled pork, like in some original text when we got the teaser trailer, and then and from what I remember, and I don't know again all the lore that goes behind it, or where pulled pork even came from, but I know when we transitioned to in game, it was Glint.
That's because it's Micah who was looking over a bunch of ghosts and like traveling them across the system so they can find their guardians. She still had one that couldn't find their guardian, but she ended up naming him Pulled Pork just to call him something. But Glint was something specifically that he named his ghost to like share that bond. So yeah, if he is Pulled Pork, that's why people know him as Pulled Pork, because he was in lore actually for a long time. I'm talking like maybe D2 vanilla at the latest. He might have actually been in D1 Grimoire. That would actually be another entirely, like I said, if they are the same ghost, that's a whole other rabbit hole. Just for Crow's ghost.
That's some interesting stuff. Like it's sometimes it's just like when you go like think about it, and like me not knowing much, it's like there's a lot there.
Yeah, no, it's a lot, and I love I especially love. Here's another thing. I especially love current Destiny lore, right? Because there's so much now, and the writers definitely pay attention to what came before and what is coming. So it's all starting, like there are pieces that when they start to cover something in like a season or a DLC, it's starting to connect and like really shine a lot of light on situations that's like Fellwinter. We had no idea how involved he was with Siva until D2. So, like I said, I love modern because early Destiny lore was great for speculation. It was great for letting the imagination run wild. But now that pieces are connecting, it's just, I don't know, I kind of like it a little better now.
Interesting. It'll give everybody some food for thought as we come into the next week. I did have something I kind of wanted to, Des, sorry, you were kind of in the dark on this one. But Gator signed the contract since Kingsley did not fulfill his end of the agreement in so many podcasts per month. Gator is going to be taking Kingsley's spot on the podcast. Gator.
Okay. Hello.
Did you get that contract signed and back to me to move into Kingsley's spot?
I think it's being looked at right now. Yeah.
Wait.
My people are looking it over. They'll get back to you.
What do you mean you need to look at it?
I just need to look at the fine print. You know.
How are we supposed to make sure Kingsley's dream was going to come true if you don't sign it?
Sorry, man.
It's easy. You just hand us the rights to your soul. You don't have to give us your actual soul right now, just the rights to it.
Oh no.
Just ignore the fine print where GDC gets merged into the Guardian Hub, and we will literally be the best hub on the net plus.
I think I need to speak to Hazel first.
Yeah, and
He already
here's the
agreed.
thing: you get to be the plus. Like that's you. You're plus.
Oh man, you guys.
Gator just happened to be in the right place at the right time.
No, Les, don't bring your lawyer science into it. Don't. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, it's fine.
Down Hub will work on Apple, Drafty.
It's all going to be fine. Again, it's just the rights to the soul. It's not the actual soul yet. Okay.
Yeah.
But if anything tragic happens, we get dibs. I mean, it's just how it happens.
I'm sure Hazel's gonna want to speak to me first on this matter.
So shout out to you, Gator, for jumping in there. And thank you for listening in during our live shenanigans. We're on the cusp of you guys getting to record tomorrow night. And I see by your little tagline, you guys are getting ready to have the infamous Xanafan 7-Eleven.
Yes, we're very excited. Yes, we're very excited. He's engaged, and we're going to hear his story tomorrow. And he's had a lot of life changes lately. And
nice.
And of course, he has to defend his 2020 title of speedrun champion. So
right
there's
that. Now. I've been bad because, as you know, with me working at home, I don't spend as much time in the car, so I haven't listened as much. But I started listening. I started listening to Drafties because I know him and I spoke on Discord the other night. He did answer the question, and I've gotten about halfway through. I got into at least to the point where he answered the questions. So Drafty, I appreciate you. And I did hear during Speedrun that there's 2 co-leaders now. It's not only
yes.
I must have missed the other. It's tied up for 39, right? So it's Kingsley Mac's hot wife, as she's so aptly named in Discord. Yes. We can just call her Stacy. And then who else?
It would be Mr. Admiral Nips.
Ooh.
39. That's what Zan's got to beat tomorrow.
It's gonna be rough, man.
Well, he won with 25 last year, but he only had 60 seconds. He has 90 seconds tomorrow night.
Right.
Yeah, but still, I mean,
that's a lot. That's a lot, man.
That is a feat that's going to be hard to overcome.
I got to tell you, I was jumping out of my seat when I realized he was getting close to 39, and I don't think he even realized he was getting there. He actually got hung up on one question, but he flowed after that. So we'll see.
Nice. Well, Admiral Nips, if you listen to this, nice. We'll see if Xanavan can take him down. Well, perfect. That wraps up everything that I got, as far as what I wanted to cover early on in the podcast. Got to talk a little bit about lore. We got to talk a little bit about our Gator contract taking over the Kingsley Macklemore era. Did we miss anything?
Well,
I don't think so.
Why don't you give me that end script and we'll give it a whirl here.
I'm not very big on scripts. I saw you DM me. I was like, crap. I don't know. It's okay. It played imperfect.
You got it.
Always, as we like to say, from Xanafan's podcast with Ben Malone, we shoot from the hip.
Understood.
So with that, if you guys are good, Gator, since you get to join in, why don't you tell the lovely listeners where they can find you and the Guardian Downcast?
I get a plug. All right. You can find our podcast. We're pretty much like I guess you call us a sister podcast. We've been doing it almost the same amount of time. Us and Two Titans and a Hunter podcast. We're Guardian Downcast. We're 2 dads that love everything in the Destiny universe, and we talk about it. And you can find me on YouTube, Gator, all caps GATR. Don't forget those underscores. And I'm on Twitter at Todd the Gator.
Amazing. And I actually jumped into a couple of your streams there. Kingsley made a funny little mark. something about what you put as your trials title the last time. So I was playing a little bit and had to turn the volume down in some cases because it's kind of hard for me to focus on both people talking. But I got to watch you play a little bit of trials the other night.
Oh yeah. That was okay. I'll give you a sneak peek here. It was myself, Warcry, and our new friend Zaniac, which I adorably call Zan as well. And we went 6 flawless. We were cruising, and Zaniac lives in Southern California, and he had a brownout. And as me and Warcry were loading into the match, the final 7, it was a 2v3. He couldn't come back. Yeah, he felt bad, and I was like, you know what, dude, we'll look back at this, and it'll all be laughs. Yeah.
I think I caught that, and you guys were doing a 2v3.
Yep.
Now, you said you did 6 at that point, no losses.
No losses.
Did you, were you doing a mercy card or no?
Yeah, we already used our mercy. We were all in. We were all in on that 7.
Gotcha.
So
That's rough.
We're going to try again this week. We'll see how it goes.
Well, good luck.
Thank you, sir.
DesRaven, where can our listeners find you?
Well, as per usual, I'm on Twitter at DES_Raven, which is the home of the fastest index, which has now been updated with Jurassic Green. Survey says it kind of sucks. Sorry.
Agreed.
Just use Horror's Least. Not Horror's Least. Darkest Before. There we go. That one. Use that one. Or freaking the one from Season of the Splicer. Freaking fantastic. That's the only bad thing about them like reissuing old weapons like this. It kind of doesn't match up quite as well. But anywho, and you can find me, of course, in our lovely, lovely Discord. And their Discord, and another Discord, and where I normally lounge out in lore chambers, answering questions, butting into conversations, piping in my 2 cents even though no one asked. Because I just know, I know too much sometimes. And then sometimes I just get curious and look it up and just have to pipe it in anyway. But anyway, Cyn.
Well, first, even though he is not here and Gator's taking his spot, you can find Kingsley in Discord next to both Cyn and DesRaven at the top, or over on Twitter at MC Kingsley. You can find me on Twitter at Cyn_media, along with the Discord. I can't use the next thing again since I already used it for you, Kingsley. You're messing up my groove here. But you can find our show on Twitter at The Guardian Hub and on our lovely website, theguardianhub.com.
The best hub on the net.
You pulled us in on that one.
No. Just for some reason I was expecting you to do it, and just like, oh wait, no. I'm the backup here. Drop the ball. I send it. Anyway.
Man. Well, with that, Guardians, you can find the best hub next week. And until then, stay magical.
Later.